Welcome back to the Irish Mags Show. It is episode 73. 73. I feel age 73 after the season that we've been going through. Good God, I don't know where all the time has gone, but there is not long left to go. I'm Paul. I'll be your host for today. I am joined by Mr. Alan Williamson. Alan, how are you doing there, sir?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm admiring your background. There's a new backdrop for anyone who's a regular YouTube watcher. Alan's background looks a little bit different than it has in the past. And might I say, it's a serious upgrade from the old wallpaper of back in the day in episode 1.
Yes. I finally got my little podcast and studio up and running, so I'm absolutely delighted.
Nice.
All my merch and well, all the merch isn't up yet, but some of it is up, and I'm absolutely delighted with how it's turned out. So yeah.
Well, I was going to say, you've got so much merch, you would need a couple of offices and floors, and it would fill a whole building, I think. But,
yeah, it actually would.
There's a lot of those. They're not bobbleheads. Are they? What are the name for the?
No, they're Funko Pops. I absolutely
Funko
love
Pops.
them. Yeah.
Clearly, we can see that in the background. Are any of them Newcastle, or they're all like kind of Star Wars?
No, they don't actually do Newcastle ones yet. I'm praying that they do bring some out, but sadly enough, that's not even half my collection.
Wowza. Money well spent. Well, if anybody here listening has any close ties to the artists known as Funko Pops, can you please tell them there's a high demand for Newcastle United bobbleheads and, as we said, Funko Pops. Before we crack on, I will tell you that the Irish Mags are proudly sponsored by Flagman Ireland. Flagman Ireland specialise in quality, digitally printed, personalised flags, bunting, tablecloths, table flags and hand wavers, and their online store also stocks and sells a wide range of international and domestic flags, including their heavy woven government standard Irish tricolour in various sizes and finishes, all of which can be shipped all over the world. Speaking of which, Krisho is not here. He's somewhere around the world. We're not sure. Might he be in Paraguay again? I thought those days were over. Is he on a scouting mission? Maybe he's in Ipswich following Liam Delap around, which is the latest rumours of potential signings. Who knows? But he's not here, you'll be pleased to know. But he's surely waving his Irish Mags flag somewhere. And if you are after a flag of any kind, including the Irish Mags, head on over to flagsireland.com. Right, Alan, we're going to get straight into business, and we're going to do something we rarely ever do. We're not going to talk about the last Newcastle United game. I think we just need to put it firmly in the past and let it stay there forever. Are you on board with this plan?
Yeah, we were thoroughly beaten by a better side, and that happens to sides. Villa were excellent. We were awful. That's the end of it.
Yeah, and that's it done. And the good news is Eddie Howe is going to be back in the dugout for the Ipswich game, which we will talk about just before the end of the show. But more importantly, I think we need to solve some of life's problems on this very show. And myself and Alan have taken on a bit of a challenge, folks. We're going to dive straight into it. Our plan for this week's show, we're going to tell you the future. Myself and Alan, with all of our infinite wisdom and our ability to predict what's going to happen, because we always get it right. We know Alan is a bit of an I told you so merchant as well. We're going to actually predict where Newcastle United are going to finish in the league this season. Newcastle have 5 games to go, and some of our rivals also have 5 games to go. A couple of them, including Man City and Aston Villa, only have 4 games remaining. We're going to go through the fixtures for each of those 5 teams. We're going to indicate whether we think Man City will win this game and Forest will win this game. And we're going to tally the points based on our predictions. I am hoping that we don't end up in a situation where goal difference becomes super important, because the spreadsheet I built for this purpose about 20 minutes ago isn't designed for that. But if it comes down to it, we can kind of speculate where we think goal difference might come into play. But ultimately, fingers crossed we can land in a good place, and in particular just see Newcastle finish in the top 5. But I'm not sure how this is going to come out. So let's dive on over to our magic Irish Mags expert technological masterpiece, which is the spreadsheet that I created 20 minutes ago. So we'll start with Man City, start at the top, and as we said, we'll leave Newcastle till last. So Man City they have Wolves at home, Southampton away, Bournemouth at home, and Fulham away. On paper, you might say that's one of the easier run-ins, particularly given the fact that they don't have any of the kind of top 7 teams left to play, having beaten Villa already. That said, Bournemouth, not an easy opponent. They've already caused them problems this season. Wolves are on a bit of a resurgence. Fulham as well are gone pretty solid. So we'll go straight at it, Alan. Our Man City, how many points do you think Man City are going to get against Wolves at home?
as much as do think that Wolves are on the up, I do think they will comfortably beat Wolves, and they'll take the 3 points there, I think.
I do agree. I think City are on one of their annual end of season bursts for points, and I think that's going to piss everyone else off at the same time. But we are where we are. For Southampton, I think it's going to be the same. Obviously, Southampton are already down, worst team in the league. It's probably, even though sometimes it's good that a team has nothing to play for, but even Southampton, I think it's beyond them because they don't even have football to play if they had something to play for. Bournemouth at home is an interesting one, Alan.
Yes, but I think that's going to come at a time where Man City will be looking to solidify their spot in the Champions League. So I do think they're going to have just a little bit too much going for them, and they're going to take 3 points from that as well.
Okay, and then they rock up and they play Fulham away on the last day of the season. Fulham at this point, they're in a little bit of a European charge. I suspect by the time we get here, that might be over. But there's a lot of talk about places being available. If those dogshit teams in the Europa League manage to stumble their way into finals and so on and so forth, and then depending on what happens in the FA Cup, I think by this point, both these teams might be just on the beach.
I do too.
Yeah. And then Man City may or may not have an FA Cup final, so I might go to draw on that one.
I was thinking a draw as well myself. They'll just be finished for the season unless they have the cup final, and if they have the cup final, they'll rest players to not risk any injuries.
Excellent. Okay, so we predicted 3 wins and a draw for Man City. By the way, if anyone's listening on Spotify, it might be worth jumping over to YouTube at the Irish Mags just to follow along with our lovely spreadsheet to keep an eye on it, because what's happening as we speak, we're putting in the points and the table is updating in terms of predicted points, and then we'll reshuffle towards the end. Magic formulas. We move over to our old friends Nottingham Forest. I mean, we've beaten them 3 times this season, right? So
yes.
We've proven that we have what it takes, but it's not for everyone. They have 5 games remaining, just like us, starting with Brentford at home. Forest having beaten Spurs, and Spurs continuing to prove how Spursy and useless they are. Sadly, Alan, Brentford at home for Forest.
That's a tough game. It's gonna be a good matchup, and I actually can see Brentford taking a point, because Forest will have an eye on the cup as well. They're still in the cup, aren't they? Yeah, so
they have a lot going on.
Yeah, I can see them having an eye on the FA Cup, and it's going to be a point there, I think.
Do you know, I'm going to go with you because I just see Brentford having goals in them. Wissa and Mbeumo, are they the highest combined goals or something like that in the league together? And Forest defense has been a little bit leaky in the last few weeks. That was their strong point all season, but that's starting to come unstuck a bit. We've seen them concede a lot of goals. So, yeah, I think it's a high-scoring draw, like a 2-2 or something like that. Okay, we'll give them a point there. They then go away to Palace. I still can't figure out Palace. We went and played Palace. We played Palace at home. We beat them 5-0. Then Arsenal played them at home. They draw. So, hard one to gauge with Palace. How do you feel about Forest and Palace in London?
I think it's going to be another draw, because Palace will be looking to keep their recent run of form going after the hiding they received at St. James's Park. They won't want to see their season go out on a whimper. So I do think that'll be another draw, but it is a tough one to call.
The only reason you might suspect this could be a draw, I think they're both in the FA Cup semi-final.
Yes,
so there might be a little bit of hesitation. So I'm happy to go with the draw on that one. Some of this is wishful thinking, obviously, because we are Newcastle fans, but it's quite feasible that we could see a draw in that game, seeing as Palace just earned a draw against Arsenal. Leicester at home for Forest. I mean,
15
no brainer.
To Forest.
Yeah, Leicester are done and dusted, so I think that's straightforward. Then the penultimate game for Forest is West Ham away in London.
I think they're going to get a win there. That's the game that stings out that they will go down there, not play great, and get their 3 points and get out of Dodge.
Yeah, I thought when Graham Potter came in, we might just see a different West Ham. And we've just not really seen anything West Ham. I don't think they've been worse. I don't think they've been better, but I don't think they've been different. They've just been chugging along. So I've nothing to believe that they can do a whole lot to harm Forest. And then by this point, if Forest have a hell of a lot to play for, depending on other results, they're going to be rocking down there with a lot to go for. So yeah, I would go for 3 points for Forest on that one. And this, for me, could be one of the biggest games of the season from our
Yeah.
perspective. Then Forest finish off at home to Chelsea. And of course, a lot can happen between now and then, but that game could have a whole lot of meaning behind it for us and for the other teams around.
That is
I
arguably our biggest game of the season, and we're not playing.
it could be, and I would like it not to be, but it
Yeah.
very well could be. Yeah, how would you see that one going?
It's gonna go either the cagiest match you'll ever see, where neither side wants to make the mistake, or it's gonna be absolutely gung ho and it'll be a 6-5 where you just don't know what's gonna happen. So I'm erring on the side of it being a draw. Hopefully both teams don't want to lose so much that they just cancel each other out. Yeah.
I think Forest are a far better team than Chelsea.
Oh yeah,
especially at home.
100%. There's if you want to give them the win, I would. If anyone's going to win, it's going to be Forest. Chelsea are not winning this game.
I don't see Chelsea winning that game.
No.
I think again, there's a lot between now and then, injuries and so on, but Chelsea are just all over the place, and they should have lost last weekend. There's a little bit about them. Obviously, there's good players there, but I think Forest just have more than enough to trouble that Chelsea defense, which changes every week. I'd go for Forest win as much as it pains me to do that. Okay, so we're predicting 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 points for Forest. They won't lose any of their games for the rest of the season. Wow. So just a quick update for anyone who's not looking at the screen right now. We currently have both Man City and Nottingham Forest on 71. Just to throw that out there. Right. We'll skip Newcastle, Alan, and we'll go on to Chelsea.
Yep.
Chelsea at home to Everton this weekend. On paper, an easy game. Everton have been a bit of a changed team since David Moyes came back. Prediction for Chelsea versus Everton in Stamford Bridge.
I think they'll have enough to get by Everton. They're so up and down, it's untrue, but I do think they'll have enough to get by Everton.
I agree. I think they'll beat Everton. I think that Everton have done what they needed to do to get comfortable and show what they can do the old Goodison Park send-off, and I think now, again, they're just starting to slowly switch off before the end of the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Then this is a good fixture for us.
Yes.
Because Chelsea go and they play Liverpool. Now, it is at home again, but it is Liverpool. Now, the downside is there is a very good chance Liverpool will have already won the league by the time this game happens, which I don't really like. We would need Liverpool to potentially lose this weekend because I think if they draw, they win the league. I don't like it at all. I am going to say I still think that Liverpool will beat Chelsea.
I do too. I think Liverpool won't want to lose to Chelsea enough that they will put enough out to do the job at the end of the day.
Okay, so we're giving them 0 points there. Okay, I like it. I like it a lot. Then Chelsea are away to Newcastle in St. James's Park. I have no problem going first here. I have every confidence that we can beat this Chelsea team. You're just looking at an organized team versus a chaos merchant team. That can work, but I just feel like we have come too far to let that kind of system come up and bamboozle us at home. So I don't think they're getting anything from Newcastle and St. James's Park, Alan.
No, we're going to beat them. If we want to get into the Champions League, we have to win our home games at the bare minimum. So we're beating them at home.
Fully agree. And then they welcome the Minnows, the small club, one of the worst clubs in the league, Manchester United, at home in Stamford Bridge. This one now is probably one where I'd say, at this point, Man United, if they're still hanging around the Europa League, through some miracle,
the reserve team will be put out
this game. They've clearly indicated they don't give a shit about the league anymore. Which, as a Man United fan, you should be embarrassed, guys. You should be absolutely hanging your heads in shame. So 3 points for Chelsea at home to Man United. And seeing as we already predicted that Forest would beat Chelsea on the last day of the season, we have to give them another big round 0 in their last game, which is Forest away. Wow, so we're saying for Chelsea's last 5 games, they'll win 2 and lose 3. Chelsea are not a drawing team, it would seem. Okay. Now we'll drop over to Aston Villa, who have 4 games remaining in the league, starting this weekend with Fulham at home. And now Villa, obviously, probably little bit disappointed coming out of that Man City game.
Yeah.
They could have a reaction. They did it with
Yep.
us after the PSG game. Do you expect them to beat Fulham at home?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. I
Yeah.
think they have the depth, they have the options, they have the manager, they have the appetite.
Yeah.
I think they have the right mentality. Villa are one to worry about, but I think Man City did us a
Yes.
favor by beating them. To be honest, in
Yes.
hindsight, yeah. They then have a tough enough, like a fixture that I would say is quite tough. Being honest, considering what Bournemouth are playing for,
Yeah.
Aston Villa have to travel to Bournemouth to the Vitality Stadium, I think,
Yes.
to play Bournemouth. I don't think we've done very well down there
No,
this
we
season,
have
if my
not.
memory serves me correctly. What would you predict for Villa away to Bournemouth?
I don't think they'll lose. I don't think they'll win either. I think it'll be a game. It'll be a tough game for them, and they'll scrape a draw out of it. So I'll give them
Interesting.
the benefit. Yeah.
I actually think Bournemouth will win this game.
Ooh.
I just think there's just something about Bournemouth, and I think they've had their kind of rocky patch, and I think they might
Mm.
surprise a few people with the last few games. I wouldn't like to be playing Bournemouth, I suppose, is my point.
Yeah.
They still have a lot to play for.
Mm.
But I'm happy to go with what you're calling for a draw. We might as well be a bit critical and harsh as well in terms of worst case scenario, just to set expectations and ready ourselves for potential disappointment, depending on how this shapes up, Alan. Then Aston Villa, their penultimate game of the season is Tottenham at home. They like being called Tottenham, isn't that right? That's what we've established, right?
Tottenham Hotspur. Yes. They're gonna blow Tottenham out of the water. It's not even going to be a competition.
Well, this is the thing, because Villa, not only do they have Tottenham at home, they also have Man United then away. So they have, again, two of the worst teams in the league. And that's not just us saying it. This is what the league table says. This is what the form table says. We think they'll beat Tottenham, and then they have to go and play Man United in Old Trafford, which, let's face it, is not what it used to be.
It's the last game of the season, though. Will it be one of these things where they go hell for leather and say we have to get a result at the end of the season in front of our fans, and they pulled something out of the bag? So I don't think they'll win at Old Trafford.
Here's a question. Put on your football manager hat. Marcus Rashford probably can't play this game.
Cannot play. No, he cannot play.
That's another little added thing in Man United's favor. Okay, we'll be generous because they have it tough, and we feel sorry for them. We'll be the bigger men here. We're giving a point for this one between Man United and Villa. Okay, so we are saying that Villa would probably go undefeated for the rest of the season, picking up 2 wins and 2 draws. Okay, I'm starting to get nervous now.
Yes.
I don't even want to look at the table as it is counting there. We just need to do the maths and then see how it turns out. Let's go and do Newcastle before we get too upset or the brain starts to go into overload. I'll start you off, Alan. We will be talking about it shortly, but I can only assume that a man like Alan Williamson expects Newcastle to go and beat Ipswich comfortably this weekend.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Fully agreed. I mean, if we don't beat Ipswich,
we don't deserve to be in this conversation.
We don't deserve to be. Yeah, do you know what I mean? That's reality. Okay, then we go away to Brighton, who have probably been one of the most inconsistent teams. They've had, they've been phenomenal at times and picked up some incredible wins, and then they've gone and dropped points against a lot of the lower teams in the league, particularly like even teams in the relegation zone. We have Brighton away from home. Again, I don't know if it's our favorite place to go.
We don't do well there.
What are you expecting?
I'm expecting us to grind out a battling draw. We will be up against it for large periods. Brighton beat us at St James's, didn't they? Welbeck got the winner. Yes. So I think we're going to go out of our way to not have the double done overs by Brighton, especially at such a key point of the season. I think we'll get a point.
And Yankuba Minta is obviously going to score again.
Yes, naturally.
Okay, I'll go to a point on that one. And to be honest, I probably would take a point as well. Away to Brighton. So that's another part. We mentioned Chelsea playing Newcastle. So obviously, in the reverse of that, we are indicating 3 points for Newcastle at home to Chelsea, which is a must. And then possibly one of the toughest ones to call, let alone being one of the tougher fixtures left. We go away to Arsenal. Now, this could be a game, Alan, that just is quite similar to a League Cup semi-final where we also went away to the Emirates Stadium and blew them away and beat them 2-0.
Yes.
Because there'll be as much to play for. If you think about the context of a semi-final,
Mm.
this could feel like a semi-final
Yeah.
because we have so much to play for. Then again, who knows what's happening Arsenal between now and then? By then, could they be out of the Champions League if they've played both their legs? Maybe against PSG. Who
Could they be in
knows?
the final?
Could they be in the final? Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so irrational and I'm so biased. But I think we go and we beat Arsenal and we just go and round it off to beat them 4 times in the season.
If they're in the Champions League,
I have had at least one beer today. I'm not gonna
that's
lie.
all right. If they're still in the Champions League, we go up there and they play their under 15s and we beat them. If they are out of the Champions League, because we have beaten them 3 times this season, just to caveat that Arsenal have lost 6 games all season, and
We're
we
half
have
of them.
been 3 of them. That we are 50% of their losses. They are going to go like lunatics to stop that route.
I just don't fear them. I see
No,
why they do
yeah.
well in games, but I've just having watched us play, and again, short, recency bias, etc. Having watched us play them 3 times this season, I don't feel we've had to fear them. They've had a lot more to fear. I watched Saliba doing ridiculous things with the football last night against Crystal Palace. David Raya as well. They're one of those centre back pairings, even if Gabriel is there or not. They hate playing Isaac.
Mm.
I do see us beating them, but we can't put an asterisk on this, Alan. We need a number.
No.
So I'm going to let you call this one. I've put my cards on the table. I think this is a 3-pointer for us, but I'd happily go with 1 if that's what you thought. However, I'm going to need you to choose.
I'll go at 1 because I don't want to say we're going to lose, and it depending on this Champions League semi-final for them, it's very, very dependent on that.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm.
Finally, we play Everton on the last day of the season.
Yeah.
Now, this is at home. Again, we've
Yes.
already talked about Everton a little bit. I think this is a team we've done relatively well with.
Mhm.
We could always bring back Florian Lejeune to score 2 injury time goals if needed. This is 3 points for me and has to be 3 points to finish off the season to make it a very, very good season.
I do think we're going to beat Everton at home. I think it's the last game of the season. We will be looking at it going, win this, we're nearly guaranteed Champions League. Get the win and get the hell out of Dodge and put the season, probably the best season we've had in our history because we've won something this year, behind us and build on in the future.
Okay. So we're predicting Newcastle to also go unbeaten for the last 5 games with 3 wins at home, 2 draws away. I think everybody would take that. But Alan, here's where it gets interesting. Based on our predictions, without looking ahead, without trying to make it look the way we want it to look, we are predicting that Newcastle United will finish 5th in the Premier League by the end of the season.
It's guaranteed Champions League. That's all we care about.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
This is interesting because before we sat down, I didn't even test this. I tested one of the numbers to make sure the calculator worked. But verbally, had you just asked me at the start of the show before going through the maths, I would have said I think we're going to finish 4th. Maybe Forest is the one that's surprising me. How do you feel about? Is this where you expected to put them? Had I asked you?
Yes and no. I was thinking Forest to be the one that we could try catch, but I think Forest have a nice set of fixtures going into the end of the season, so I think they'll just have enough. So come here, if you were offered at the start of the season, every single person would have snapped the hand off. So it's a great result at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, if someone had said to you, "There's going to be 5 places going in the Champions League, you can have one," right? I mean, bar saying if someone offers you to win the league, but you probably would have just said, "Yes, please, thank you very much."
Yeah.
Fast forward, stop the count.
Goodbye.
Yeah, is this the way to Barcelona? Blah blah blah. Lazio, Roma. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I mean, actually, I'm genuinely intrigued because in my mind, I was thinking that we would pip Forest, but we have obviously put down here that we think Forest will also go unbeaten and that they win 3. We've actually probably said that them along with us will pick up the most points, really. Yeah, that's
Mm.
interesting. Not a whole lot of defeats here. We're very anti-Chelsea, which I'm okay with, and I think they
Yeah.
deserve that.
Hmm.
I'm just looking at these fixtures now. Particularly, I'm looking at us and Forest to think, where might be the shocks. Judging by what we've put down here, where might Forest trip up? For example, like they could go and beat Brentford, and then suddenly we're like, oh shit,
Mm.
instead of getting the draw that we predict. But equally, they could drop points against West Ham, or even Chelsea could go there and get
Yeah.
something. Yeah, it's interesting. What are the fixtures to watch out for then? To be warned.
I think Wolves Man City this weekend is definitely one that could potentially be a bit of a slip up. Villa having to go to or Villa having Fulham at home will be a tough one as well. And then our one at Arsenal is the real dodgy one for us. Let's be very honest about it. There's no point in saying it's not.
Or it's the one that does it. It's the one that does everything.
Yeah, it's the one that guarantees us.
There is a scenario where we go away to Arsenal and a win guarantees us, top 5 or whatever. Like it is quite possible. This Champions League race is fucking wild, and thank God it is, because the relegation battle is over. The league title is wrapped up. So thank God that there is this for the neutrals. For us, we'd obviously like it to be done and dusted, but for the neutrals of the league, it is good to be clinging on to something. And yeah, like we said, 5th place in the league, Champions League spot, I'd take it.
Absolutely.
Well, let's see, Alan, if you turn out to be, or if I turn out to be, isn't it Paul the Octopus? Isn't that fortune-telling octopus's name?
That's it.
If we get any of those right, we could be a collective bunch of octopuses. But more importantly, I think none of it will matter. None of us will care as long as Newcastle do finish in that top 5. But the most important thing is really they need to go and earn those results. Those results aren't guaranteed at this stage of the season. We're not playing any teams that are already relegated, bar Ipswich. We then, after Ipswich, we have 4 games against 4 teams who arguably all have a little bit to play for. Maybe bar Everton. I don't know how it's going to go. It's going to be a nervy few weeks, to say the least.
Yeah.
And that'll take us on to the weekend, where we shouldn't. I mean, Alan, we shouldn't be nervous against Ipswich. We're welcoming Ipswich at home. We've already been to Portman Road, smashed them 4-0. You'll remember Alexander Isak getting a hat-trick for the first Newcastle hat-trick since 2019. You'll remember Jacob Murphy scoring a rocket and then doing a cheeky backheel for Isak to finish and get his hat-trick. Fully kind of expecting the same, but the big question that everyone's asking, Alan, is same 11 again? It's been a week.
I think we'll see a change or two. I think it'll be the first time where we may see a change or two. And I'm going to go rogue. I'm going to say that Murphy comes out, Gordon comes in. I'm going to say Byrne comes out, Botman comes in. And that'll be it. I think you'll keep the midfield 3 together, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of changes this week.
Tell me more about Sven Botman. He hasn't even been on the bench yet.
No. So Tyndall last week said he's back on grass, he's back training. He'll be back for Ipswich. I think they have had the Ipswich game penciled in to say, right, we're getting you back out on the pitch that day, and I think you'll come in and it'll be the one where you go, I don't want to say ease yourself back in, because Liam Delap is a handful by no stretch, but if you're looking for a game to bring a centre half back in, you're going to say the team battling relegation is probably the one you choose. So I think if we're going to bring him in back this season, it's going to be on Saturday.
I just feel like I've never seen Eddie Howe bring someone in like straight back. Maybe Anthony Gordon. There was a time Anthony Gordon went down and then everyone thought he was like gone forever, and then he just started the week after. But I feel like Eddie Howe's his jam is to like, oh yeah, we'll put you on the bench and then we'll bring you on and we'll give you 10 and then we'll give you 20 and then we might give you So I'd be surprised, but I don't hate the idea. Equally, I do think that Dan Byrne is more than a match for Liam Delap. I've said this before. Dan Byrne does well in against bigger physical strikers rather than off the shoulder channel runners, etc. So I wouldn't be alarmed if it wasn't Botman. On the topic of change, the thing that interests me now, Ipswich have a terrible defense anyway.
Yeah.
I think their left back, Leif Davis,
Leif
got himself
Davis
sent off recently.
happens to be a Newcastle fan and happens to get himself
Happens to
suspended for
be,
the
yes,
Newcastle game.
Agent
Convenient, mate.
Leif
Yeah,
Davis.
fair
Yeah,
play to you.
him and Mark Gahey have a little WhatsApp group. Just going, we'll help the boys out. So that I don't even know who their backup left back is, to be honest. Like I'm not even sure, and that's
No.
I probably should know. So that's either license for Jacob Murphy to just keep doing it, or like you said, even if it was an Anthony Gordon situation, to just target that side. I would find it hard to believe they wouldn't target that right hand side with Jacob Murphy in the
Yeah.
form he's in. Depending on what kind of a left back they have, is it a natural left back? Is it a slow one? Is it someone who's actually right footed? There's all these things to think about. If we did our research, we'd know. We don't. If Christian was here, he wouldn't know either. So, I suspect it'll be the same 11 again, but it wouldn't bother me to see a couple of changes. The one thing I'd like to see, and maybe we should talk about this again, I feel like Miley has had a bit of an injustice. I just think, Alan, you spoke about this before, how, they don't bring Miley on the right of the three. He's not done well there. I feel like we're not making the most of a very good option in midfield here. Not that he should be a starter, but we've suddenly become very heavily reliant on a three. I don't think Willock comes in and does what Joe Linton does. I feel like there's a lot more to Miley, and maybe it's a next season thing, to be honest, but that's the one thing I wish I could say with confidence, like, I'd love to see Miley start. But based on us seeing a bit more of him, we just haven't, and that's the only downside, really.
Mm-hmm.
Prediction, please.
5-0. Isak's getting another hat trick.
5-0. I mean, I wouldn't complain with that at all. I'm gonna go with a 4-1, because Liam Delap might be doing just a little bit of an audition if he likes the idea of going to Newcastle, and why wouldn't he?
Absolutely.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they scored, because that's what happens us. when it shouldn't happen, it happens. Yeah, and it'll probably be a guy who's never scored a Premier League goal. Probably be the left back that starts ahead of Leif Davis, scores his first ever Premier League goal, never scores again until 2 seasons later when they play us again in some cup. Okay, I'll be happy with that, though, in fairness. Right, we're confident. We are buzzing, and that would be 3 points to get us cracking. And I think it would, the big thing it would do, looking at the league table currently, and I'll reset my my league table rather than look it up. The big thing it would do is create a bigger gap between us and obviously Aston Villa, who are outside at the moment, and even Chelsea as well. So we need these 3 points badly.
That's exactly what we need. We need to keep teams at arm's length.
Yeah, big Dan Burn length of arms, please.
Yeah.
Right, before we wrap up the show, events happening this weekend. Talk to me about meetups, Alan. Are we having meetups again? Tell us more.
We are always having a meetup. So again, this Saturday, it's 3 p.m. kickoff. We will be in Bleecker Street Bar from 2 p.m. onwards-ish. There's lads to be there from 11 o'clock in the morning. They're psychopaths. So if you're anywhere near Bleecker Street in Dublin, which is just beside the Temple Street Hospital, Upper Dorset Street, pop yourself in, say hello. We were outnumbered by Geordies again last weekend, so we look forward to that happening again, because we always love the Geordies coming over. Any type of Newcastle fan, get yourself into the Bleecker. Johnny will love you. I love you. Just come say hello. That's all we can ask for. What
more motivation than you need than 2 grown men loving you for coming into the pub?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, geez, I'd nearly drive up myself. Excellent stuff. Looking forward to that. And we're going to have plenty of meetups between now and the end of the season. And we're already talking about meetups for next year and things that might be happening during the summer. And speaking of which, Alan, shall we do a reminder on the road trip to my part of the world?
We absolutely shall. So we are doing a road trip to Galway, Mary Mullins Bar, for the game against Brighton. That is next Sunday at 2 p.m. So there we go. It's 2 p.m. kickoff. And we were trying to organize a bus ourselves. Far too expensive. So what we're going to do is CityLink do a bus down. We're going to get that at 8 o'clock in the morning. It drops you off at 10, 11 o'clock in and around Galway. The reason we're getting down there at that time is because Celtic play Rangers on the Sunday at
yes.
12:30. So it's a big game, big day of football. So Celtic play Rangers, we play Brighton, and then Liverpool play Chelsea. It's going to be a serious day of football, and it should be a good day out for the Irish Mag. So if you've any interest in popping along to that with us, get in contact with one of us, any way, shape, or form, or even if you're just in and around Galway, pop in and say hello and join the Irish Magnus, as we always like to say.
Yes, bank holiday Sunday in Galway. You can't go wrong. I was a bit
Absolutely.
apprehensive when I heard that you might be organising your own bus, because I know what happens when you all go on a bus in the morning. I'm hoping you have one of those City Link drivers that just won't let you have any cans, so that you're all fresh for when you meet me and you're not half cut when you come off the bus when I go down to pick you up at the bus station. So on good behaviour at 8 a.m. and you'll be in Galway for midday, and we'll have a good 12 to 14 hours of a bank holiday.
Absolutely.
Nice. Super stuff. Any other news? Any other wild things to report? I haven't really heard too much. Eddie Howe is back at the weekend.
Over my shoulder here. So just to say, the Irish Mags FC are back. That's actually our jersey up on the wall there.
Did I hear ye won a game recently? Or
we did.
Wow.
So we'll be very honest. We were in a league last year that may have been a bit too strong for us. We were in a quite decent standard of football, and we played 12 games, won 2, lost 10.
Okay.
We got an awful lot of heights. So we are into a different, same type of league, but into a different standard. And we 2 matches yesterday. Now, first match we were beaten 13-6 by a very, very good side, and we had no subs, and we were all running around like lunatics, and we were dying. Second game, which came an hour later, we actually went and got ourselves a win, which was a 9-4 win, which is a very nice win. Shout out to the lads. So back with a bang. So if you want to get involved with that, give us a shout as well. Come here, you get your own Irish Mags jersey. What more could you ask for, lads?
I was going to say, what do I have to do to get my hands on one of them? Do I need to make a special appearance?
Join the 5-a-side team, because I have 10 of the bleeding yolks that I have to wash every weekend now.
Okay. So I'm not washing them, but I will take one. Sounds like a plan. I've only 2 questions then. How many cans of Monster did you drink between those 2 games, and how many goals did you score in the second one?
I scored 2 in the second one, and I had no cans of Monster because it would give me a heart attack. Yes. I was on the Lucasade Sport for that one.
There's your life advice, kids. Stay on the Lucasade Sport in between games. Other energy drinks are available. And on that breaking exclusive from Alan Williamson, that brings episode 73 of the Irish Mags Show to a close. Hopefully Chris Show will be back with us next week. Who knows, because we don't know where he is. Check out theirishmags.com for all the latest updates on meetups, all of the latest photo galleries, all the information about the podcast, everything you need to know, along with all of our social links, which are all down below. Make sure you're following us on X, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, on TikTok, on OnlyFans, on Bebo, wherever you are on your social media. Look up the Irish Mags and you'll find us. And looking forward to next week, where we can hopefully talk about the first of those 3 points that are leading us to a Champions League qualification place. And that would be nice.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So until then, how are the lads? Slán, go full. And we see you all very soon. Alan, thanks.
Good luck.
Cheers. Thank you for listening.